Hello, hello. Hello, my baby. Hello. Okay. Let's see what we got here. It says here, expert explains what to do if another passenger asks to switch seats. Just say no. This doesn't need to be that complicated. What was this? When a family asks me to switch seats on a plane so they can sit together. Will you sip your water? I don't get this. Why are you showing me this image? Is that the family? A man recently earned praise after he filmed himself confronting a fellow train passenger who was sitting in his seat he purchased ahead of time. Positive response to the viral footage of the man insisting he had allowed he to be allowed to sit in the seat he'd booked came after an influencer recently earned similar applause for refusing a request to swap seats on a plane so that the family can sit together. Okay. No, I'm not switching for a middle seat. Book your flights earlier, babes. Sounds British. Influencer Audrey Peters captioned equally viral video this March. I mean, that seems unnecessary, right? Like if they booked the flights and they couldn't get the seats that they wanted, and they thought, okay, we might as well, when we get there, let's just ask somebody, maybe someone would be nice. And they ask you, and then you said no. That's it. Like, why do you have to post like it doesn't make any sense. There was no conflict. Like you just say no, you move on. Like if they got upset at you and they start yelling or whatever, maybe then you have something. But if they're just like, if they just took your no for an answer and moved on, then what's the problem? It seems ridiculous, man. The pair are not alone in their experiences, as social media has recently become inundated with stories of travelers who have been asked to swap seats with fellow passengers wishing to sit with a friend or a family member, or simply because they prefer a better seat. However, as the responses to the viral video suggest, most travelers aren't open to seat swapping suggestions, and according to travel etiquette, they don't have to be. Yeah, it's fine. There's there's something to be said about social engineering, though. Like, if you can't get something through payment, or you weren't on time or whatever it is, you can talk to people and get what you want through that. So I would say it's perfectly okay for them to ask, but you don't have to really, do it. To find out whether there's ever a time when it's appropriate or acceptable to ask to swap seats with a fellow traveler, like we don't have to mandate when the time is necessary. Just like you just ask, and if they say no, then you move on, right? And the people that not are not going to move on, or not going to ask nicely, or not going to react well to the rejection, those people are just going to exist. There's no solving for that, right? So no matter what system you put in place, people are just going to go outside of it. Any form of transportation where it's rebooked, national etiquette expert. That sounds like a pointless job. Founder of the Protocol School of Texas. Okay, speaking to the Independent, Gottman said that there is only one acceptable scenario where a traveler may ask a fellow passenger to switch seats, and that even then it is only just justifiable if the passenger has first tried other ways of remedying the situation. Um, what? Were you supposed to ask them if they tried other ways before they got to you? Of course, they're going to try other ways, or maybe they didn't, because there are no other ways besides buying the seat. According to Gottman, the acceptable scenario refers to a parent or a guardian who found there is no possible way through pre-planning that they could have been seated next to their young child, at which point, of course, it's understandable to ask a passenger to swap seat. To swap, okay. However, Gottman noted that even in case involving young child, it's always best to ask a ticket agent or someone from the traveling company if there's a possible a changing or switching of seats before you board the plane. Yeah, that's another thing. Like you would often get like stewardesses or whoever coming up and asking the person and on behalf of someone else if they could switch seats to allow the mother and child or whatever to sit together. Uh, Asking a fellow passenger puts the person you are asking in an awkward position and relies on their goodwill. If you are hoping to change your seat for any other reason, it's typical not advisable to ask a fellow passenger if they're open to switching, despite the numerous videos of travelers doing just that on social media. Yeah. Wanting to sit next to a friend or preferring a window seat rather than an aisle is not a good enough reason. Why does a reason have to be good enough? It's just a reason. I hate when people keep doing this. Like, stop applying morality to reason. Reason is just what it is. It's amoral. It doesn't have to be good. It just is. If you or your spouse are separated, it simply means you booked late or you did not plan in advance to book seats together. The request to go against travel etiquette even more when the proposed switch would take the passenger out of the seat that's preferable to one they are being offered. According to Gottman, who told us it's really not the best form to ask a person to take a middle seat or a window seat when they have an aisle seat booked. Um, I suppose it's not, but if you want their seat, you know, the travel website, The Points Guy, agreed with the blog, noting that generally speaking, the unspoken rule when it comes to seat swaps is that only better or equivalent exchanges should be offered. Yeah, but you're just suggesting ways that people can be better negotiators when they're trying to swap seats. You're not creating rules. Like like what you're pretty much saying is that if you want to swap seats and you have a stupid reason, just lie, basically, because you're not going to tell people who want something based on a petty reason that they can't have it because their reason is too petty. You're like, it's just not going to happen. But gained some leg room and blah, 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 blah. Whoever the travel expert suggested that a seat trade proposal where you are offering is a comparable seat to your fellow passenger is generally viewed as acceptable, and if it's for a reason such as wanting to be near your spouse or friends or because you have a very tight layover. It's always worth the risk, worth the ask. Or you can say you have some sort of illness and you need to be by a window seat or whatever. Uh, while there may be times when a seat swap request, they're going really in depth in this. Okay, so it's almost over. One of the biggest travel etiquette misjudgment a traveler can make is to take a fellow passenger's seat without asking, according to point. Yeah, well, no, a cardinal rule of the seat swaps is that you should never take someone else's seat before they board. As for how requests to swap seats should be handled by travelers, both Gottman and Points Guy say that passengers should feel comfortable declining if they don't want to give up their seat. It's perfectly fine to decline a request. No excuses necessary. Gottman told, but sorry, I'm just going to take your seat. All right. Points Guy also notes that passengers are quite within their right to decline any seat. You're just saying the same thing you said before. Anyways, that's silly. People are going viral because they're saying no. I guess it's one of those things where it's an understandable frustration with people asking you for a seat. You already have the seat. So I guess I can see why it goes viral because it's like satisfying. Like, oh yeah, you said no to whatever. Anyways, until next time.